The morning sun pierced through the banyan leaves, casting golden light upon the disciples gathered in eager anticipation. Devadatta, the youngest among them, spoke first, his voice heavy with doubt and frustration. Among them was Ananda, his face etched with turmoil, burdened by the weight of choices long regretted. "Blessed One," Ananda said, his voice trembling, "I am haunted by mistakes that seem to define who I have become." The Buddha opened his eyes and regarded Ananda with gentle compassion, his gaze piercing yet comforting. "Ananda," he said softly, "life is like a river that flows constantly, never holding on to the water it has already carried. Though it appears the same each day, the river never holds the same water within its course." Ananda, who often questioned deeply, looked at Buddha with a flicker of curiosity in his attentive eyes. "But teacher," Ananda interjected, "if the river changes, why does it seem the same to our eyes? Day after day?" Buddha closed his eyes for a moment, as though communing with the rhythm of the river itself. "Your eyes see the surface, Ananda," he explained, "but it is wisdom that reveals the profound truth beneath appearances." The disciples murmured softly among themselves, reflecting on these words. Though the weight of their frustrations lingered, Devadatta knelt, his hands trembling slightly as he gestured toward the earth beneath him. "Master," he implored, "I feel as though my feet are rooted like this soil, fixed and unyielding. How can I perceive change when all seems stagnant around me?" Buddha leaned forward gently, his shadow falling across Devadatta as though shielding him from despair. "Even the earth is not as still as it appears, Devadatta," Buddha replied, his voice imbued with soothing certainty. "The seeds hidden beneath its surface stretch ever toward the light, even if unnoticed by your hurried gaze." The disciples exchanged thoughtful glances, pondering this image of unseen growth beneath an apparently motionless facade. Sita, a woman with clear eyes that often saw truth swiftly, tilted her head and asked the next question. One asked aloud, his voice timid but earnest, "If kindness is our tool, how do we find the strength to wield it when despair weakens our resolve?" The Buddha smiled gently, his expression radiating peace, as he responded, "Strength emerges not from the absence of despair but from the determination to rise despite its weight." His words carried a resonance, like the deep tone of a bell, touching the spirit of all present, guiding their troubled thoughts toward clarity. "Indeed, young one, each seed has its own time, just as each being has its own journey," he answered. "Release is an invitation, not an imposition. By freeing oneself, one can inspire others, offering them courage to release their burdens." A calm silence enveloped the group as the disciples reflected on the truth of those words. Each grappling with their own inner weights, the morning sun climbed higher, illuminating the clearing where the Buddha sat, his aura radiant and transformative for all present. The disciples leaned closer, captivated by this metaphor, their thoughts intertwining with Buddha's wisdom like threads in a fine tapestry. Devadatta's brow furrowed as he voiced his lingering doubt, seeking clarity in the midst of his inner turmoil. "If forgiveness begins within," Ananda ventured carefully, "how does one silence the voice that criticizes endlessly in the shadows?" The Buddha clasped his hands in front of him, his calm steadying the group, his presence grounding their thoughts. "The voice of criticism weakens through acknowledgement, not denial. To hear it clearly is to understand it, and through understanding comes peace." He gestured toward the stream once more, its surface shimmering in the sunlight, reflecting both ripples and stillness alike. His words carried a sense of timeless wisdom that both comforted and challenged me. "So, you are saying, Blessed One, that I must cultivate patience as a farmer tends his crops?" The Buddha inclined his head, affirming the truth in my understanding. "Courage begins with a single deliberate action." The disciples regarded the drawn path in silence, their minds filled with images of their own journeys, both past and yet to come. Ananda, ever thoughtful, added a new layer to the discussion, his mind spiraling outward to contemplate broader implications. Master, is there a way to know if the path we choose will lead to growth and not further despair? Buddha chuckled softly, a sound like the rustle of leaves in a gentle breeze. Soothing yet profound. To walk a path with intention is already to grow, he said. For the river's journey is not measured by its destination but by its flow. The group remained silent, absorbing the fullness of his words. Their spirits lighter, their minds clearer. Beneath the banyan tree, shadows danced in harmony with the sunlight, embodying the lessons that the Buddha bestowed. Master, your words are like the river, carrying us forward with their clarity and strength. I feel the current within. As the day wore on, the disciples dispersed, their minds enriched by the profound yet simple truths shared under the Bodhi tree. Ananda lingered, his gratitude evident as he bowed deeply toward the Buddha, his heart steadied in newfound peace. When we embrace it, we become its conscious stewards. The disciples felt a shift in the air, as though the grove itself resonated with the energy of their newly awakened courage. As the sun continued its journey across the sky, the disciples rose one by one, their hearts filled with resolve. They left the banyan tree, their steps lighter and their spirits lifted, carrying Buddha's teachings like a lantern in the darkness. The river sang softly as they departed, its unending flow a reminder of the truth they had just begun to grasp. Another day, another gathering beneath the banyan tree, where sunlight filtered through its leaves and cast intricate patterns on the earth. The disciples came quietly, their hearts heavy, still wrestling with fears that shackled their thoughts and actions. Sita began to speak, her voice trembling slightly, like the rustling of leaves in an uncertain breeze. Master, I have felt the pull of change, yet the fear of moving forward keeps me bound to my familiar ways. Buddha regarded her with unwavering compassion, his eyes serene as the river's unbroken flow beside them. Sita, he said softly, imagine a pond that never receives rain or wind. Its surface grows stagnant, and its water turns foul. Its roots hold its place while the wind shapes its form. The Buddha gestured toward the flowing stream nearby, its current steady and unwavering. Master, is there truly danger in remaining unchanged, in living as we have always lived? Buddha nodded slowly, his expression reflecting deep understanding of the burdens they carried. To resist change is to invite stagnation. Devadatta, life becomes a prison when fear bars the path to growth. The disciples sat in silence, the weight of Buddha's words settling over them like a gentle yet persistent rain. Life is like the stream, Ananda, it carries us forward, shaping us without erasing the traces of our past. Ananda hesitated, his mind wrestling with guilt that clung to him like a shadow. But, Blessed One, the harm I have caused weighs heavy on my conscience. Ananda, ever thoughtful, asked the next question with his signature curiosity, his voice steady but searching. Master, how can we move forward if fear clouds our vision and binds us to what we know? Buddha smiled faintly, his calm demeanor steadying the ripples of unrest within the disciples' minds. Fear is not the enemy, Ananda, it is the shadow that whispers caution, but it need not command your steps. He gestured toward the riverbank, where a flock of birds took flight, each one moving upward despite the fear of the unknown. Sita drew a deep breath, her voice gaining strength as she spoke again. Master, how can we act when fear seems to shroud every path forward, and uncertainty overwhelms us? Buddha stood and took a small, deliberate step forward, his movement slow but purposeful in the quiet grove. Courage begins with a single step, he said. To act despite fear is to honor the potential within you to transform. Devadatta, watching Buddha intently, furrowed his brow and posed his question with a trembling voice. Master, what if the path we choose leads us astray, deepening despair instead of bringing us growth? Buddha turned to Devadatta with serene patience, his hand lightly touching the bark of the banyan tree beside him. To walk forward is already growth, Devadatta, he replied. Even an unsteady path teaches wisdom through the lessons of experience. The disciples murmured among themselves, their conversations laden with thoughts stirred by Buddha's calm conviction. Sita stepped closer to Buddha, her hands clasped tightly, her resolve growing as she sought clarity. Master, is courage something we must create within ourselves, or does it arise naturally over time? Buddha gestured toward the lotus blossoms emerging gracefully from the muddy riverbank, their petals shining in the sunlight. Courage blooms like the lotus, he said. It emerges from the mud through its own strength and reaches upward toward the light's call. Ananda nodded slowly, his understanding growing through the metaphor, his thoughts weaving connections that would guide his own reflections. Devadatta straightened his posture, his voice firmer and tinged with curiosity as he asked another question. It is growth through acceptance, not denial. Ananda nodded slowly, his heart opening to the truth that letting go does not diminish the significance of what has passed. Each step reshapes your path, even if its destination remains unknown. The disciples grew quiet, their minds filled with images of rivers, paths, and the courage required to face their fears. Sita began to speak once more, her voice filled with determination now, each word steady and clear. Master, I will face my fear and take the first step. I will act with intention, even if my resolve wavers. Buddha regarded her with quiet acknowledgement, his gaze reflecting the calm strength of one who knows transformation's power. Do so, Ananda, with sincerity. Release is not an event but a practice, a stream that flows ever onward. But blessed one, I asked, how do I find the light when I feel consumed by darkness? The Buddha gestured toward the flames of a small fire burning nearby, its warmth reaching us even from a distance. The light is like this fire, he said, born from the spark of mindfulness and the fuel of compassion. Ananda rose slowly, his shoulders lighter, his step steadier, his heart filled with gratitude for the wisdom granted by the Blessed One. He turned toward the disciples, his voice steady as he shared his resolve. The sunlit leaves trembled gently as the group settled, their expressions tinged with hesitation yet touched by determination. Buddha sat quietly, his eyes closed, as the murmurs of his disciples filled the space with their lingering doubts. Devadatta spoke first, his voice steady yet questioning, seeking clarity in his unease. Master, I have faced my fears but feel uncertain whether my actions truly align with the path of growth. The Buddha watched them quietly, his aura unwavering, embodying the serenity that allowed transformation to bloom. Another day, another journey, the disciples murmured softly, absorbing these words as the sunlight dappled their faces, illuminating their expressions of quiet reflection. Sita spoke next, her tone firm, her voice cutting through the uncertainty that hung in the air. Master, Sita said, I have found courage to act, but fear continues to arise, threatening my resolve. Is this normal? Buddha smiled faintly, his expression like the glimmer of sunlight rippling across the river nearby. Steady yet fleeting, fear accompanies change. Sita, he said, it is not an enemy but a companion, urging us to acknowledge and embrace transformation. Ananda raised his hand, his face thoughtful, his voice measured as he asked the next question. Master, how can we ensure our courage does not waver as fear continues to shadow our thoughts and actions? Buddha leaned forward slightly, his hands folded in his lap, grounding himself in the stillness of the grove. Courage persists through intention, Buddha replied. It grows stronger each time we act deliberately. accepting fear's presence without allowing it to lead. The Buddha inclined his head slightly and continued, "Just as the shadow follows the tree, so too does the past cast shadows upon our lives." The disciples nodded in quiet agreement, their own reflections forming ripples in their minds, stirred by the Buddha's words. "Master, the river flows endlessly, yet it faces obstacles in its path. Does courage mean overcoming obstacles or flowing around them?" Buddha rose from his seated position, walking toward the riverbank with steps as deliberate as his teachings. "The river teaches both persistence and adaptability," Buddha said. "It flows where it can and reshapes where it must, embracing its nature. In time, it will fade like ripples on water." He led me to a quiet pond, its surface still except for the occasional ripple caused by a falling leaf. "Look closely at the water," he instructed, "and tell me what you see." I peered into the pond, noticing the moon's reflection amidst the faint ripples. It is the acknowledgement and understanding of the shadow that brings liberation. He reached toward the ground, lifting a handful of soil, its texture rough yet grounding in his palms. "Master," Ananda asked, "does courage mean accepting all paths equally? Or must we discern which ones truly lead toward growth and wisdom?" Buddha stood and gestured toward the distant horizon, where the river curved and disappeared into the landscape beyond. "Discernment is the light that guides courage," he replied. "It illuminates the choices before us, ensuring each step aligns with intention." The disciples grew quiet, their minds filled with images of rivers, paths, and the courage required to face uncertainty and doubt. "Is this not a contradiction?" The Buddha released the soil, letting it fall gently back to the earth, his movements embodying the lesson he sought to impart. "It is not a contradiction but a harmony. Ananda, I feel the strength of the river within me." Buddha nodded, his serene expression reflecting the quiet joy of witnessing transformation take root in Devadatta's heart. "Yes, young one," he said, "the true nature of your mind is like the still water, unshaken by passing ripples." Though his words brought comfort, the practical challenge of facing anxiety in the moment still lingered in my heart. "Blessed One," I asked, "what can I do when anxiety grips me so tightly that I cannot think clearly?" The Buddha held out his hand, motioning for me to give him my attention entirely. Buddha walked toward Sita, placing a hand gently on her shoulder, grounding her with the touch of quiet compassion. "The unknown carries the seeds of possibility," he said. "Each step toward it nurtures the courage that transforms fear into growth." Ananda remained seated, his hands resting lightly on his knees, his thoughts spiraling outward to contemplate the broader implications. Ananda's gaze returned to the tree's shadow, the visual reminder of the conversation intertwining with his evolving perspective. "Blessed One," he began once more, "if the shadow cannot be escaped, does it not still obscure the present, clouding the clarity of now?" The Buddha gestured toward the stream, its surface shimmering in the sunlight, reflecting both the shadows and the sky above. "It emerges from the mud, drawn by the light, nourished by each deliberate act." The disciples exchanged thoughtful glances, their understanding deepening as Buddha's words shaped their reflections like water carving stone. Devadatta gestured toward the river once more, his expression filled with curiosity as he asked another question. "Master, is there a way to measure our progress, to know if our actions truly lead us toward change?" Buddha chuckled softly, his voice resonating like the river's gentle hum echoing across the grove. "The journey itself carries change, Devadatta. Each step reshapes your path, even if its destination remains unknown." Ananda bowed his head slightly, his heart steadied by the wisdom offered, his doubts met with guidance and clarity. "Blessed One," he said, "I will seek to heal, to act with intention, and to honor the lessons the past has given." "Master, I will face my fear and take the first step. I will act with intention, even if my resolve wavers. Buddha regarded her with quiet acknowledgement, his gaze reflecting the calm strength of one who knows transformation's power. Each step forward casts light upon fear's shadow, illuminating the truth hidden within uncertainty. The sun climbed higher, casting dappled patterns upon the ground, embodying the harmonious interplay of light and shadow. Beneath the banyan tree, the Buddha sat quietly, his presence a steady beacon of peace, guiding all toward inner transformation. The disciples rose slowly, their steps unhurried as they carried the essence of the teachings within their hearts. Ananda lingered for a moment, his gaze focused on the stream, its ceaseless flow a reminder of life's continuity and renewal. He turned to the Buddha, his voice steady as he spoke. I will walk forward, Blessed One, with gratitude for the wisdom shared. Carrying both shadow and light, the Buddha inclined his head slightly, his smile a silent affirmation of the path Ananda had chosen. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.